Right now, somewhere in San Francisco, a piece of software is buying a pair of running shoes. It's comparing prices across 4 different stores, checking delivery windows, reading reviews nobody paid it to read, and completing the purchase, all without a single human clicking a single button. No browser tab. No home page. No add to cart. The person who owns those shoes won't see a website today, won't see an ad, won't scroll through a single search result. They just said, out loud, "Get me trail shoes under $150, delivered by Friday," and walked away. This isn't a concept video. This isn't science fiction. This happened, at scale, during the last holiday shopping season, and it drove over $260 billion in sales. So here's the question that should genuinely unsettle you. If you don't need to visit a website to buy something anymore, why would you ever visit one again? And if nobody visits websites, what happens to the internet as we know it? For 30 years, the internet has run on one basic deal. Companies build a website. You visit it. In exchange for information, entertainment, or a product, you either pay them, or you look at their ads, or you hand over a bit of your data. Multiply that deal by a few billion people, a few trillion clicks, and you get the modern web, the largest economic engine humanity has ever built on top of hyperlinks. That deal is now breaking. Quietly, and much faster than most people have noticed. In the next 18 minutes, I'm going to show you exactly how AI agents are rewiring the internet from the inside, what's already lived today, what's being built right now inside Google, Amazon, OpenAI, and Microsoft, and what a completely agent-run internet would actually mean for your job, your privacy, and the way you'll shop, read, and work 5 years from now. And by the end, I think you'll agree, we're not looking at an upgrade to the internet. We're looking at the beginning of something that replaces it. Let's start with the basics, because you need to understand what's actually being threatened. A website, at its core, is a storefront built for human eyes. It has a home page because humans need an entry point. It has a navigation menu because humans need to find things. It has product photos, big buttons, persuasive copy, because humans get bored, humans get distracted, and humans need to be convinced. Search engines exist to help humans find those storefronts. Google indexes the web, ranks pages, and shows you 10 blue links. You click one. That click is the entire economy. It's how publishers get paid through ads, how retailers get customers, how creators build an audience. This system has one hidden assumption baked into it, that a human is the one doing the clicking. That assumption just stopped being true. Here's the shift. For the past few years, you've been using AI assistants. You ask ChatGPT a question, it answers. You ask Gemini to summarize an email, it summarizes. Helpful, but passive. It waits for you. An AI agent is different. You give it a goal and it acts. It opens browser tabs. It fills out forms. It compares prices across sites. It completes multi-step tasks without you supervising every click. Industry analysts actually describe this as a ladder of autonomy, from simple chatbots up through AI copilots that still need a human to hit buy, all the way up to true agents that research, decide, and execute the entire transaction on their own. And in the last year, that ladder has been climbing fast. Google built an experimental browser agent called Project Mariner that could book flights and shop for you by literally looking at your screen like a human would, taking screenshots, recognizing buttons, clicking them. OpenAI built something similar, powering both a tool called Operator and a full AI-native browser called Atlas. Anthropic built an agent that lives inside Chrome itself. Perplexity built one called Comet. Now, plot twist, and this matters, because I promised you no sensationalism. Google actually shut Project Mariner down as a standalone product back in May. Not because agentic browsing failed, but because it worked well enough that Google folded its technology directly into search and into its main Gemini assistant instead of keeping it as a separate experiment. That's not a retreat. That's what it looks like when a feature graduates into infrastructure. Think of it like the difference between a travel agent who hands you a brochure and one who books the whole trip while you sleep. One informs you. The other acts on your behalf. That distinction is the whole story of this video. Because an internet built for informing humans looks completely different from an internet built for agents acting on their behalf. One needs beautiful homepages. The other needs structured data an algorithm can read in milliseconds. Let's ground this in what's real right now, not what's promised. Today, you can ask an AI agent to find you noise-canceling headphones under $300 with at least 30 hours of battery life, and it will search product databases, cross-check specs, read aggregated reviews, and hand you a shortlist, sometimes completing the purchase outright. Retailers like Walmart, Target, Home Depot, and Lowe's are already plugged into these systems. Shopify merchants can now sell simultaneously inside ChatGPT, Microsoft Copilot, and Google's AI systems, without the shopper ever landing on Shopify's own website. Google even launched something called the Universal Commerce Protocol at a major retail conference this year, specifically so agents can browse a merchant's entire catalog and complete checkout using one open standard instead of scraping web pages one by one. And this isn't a fringe behavior. During the most recent holiday season, AI-driven shopping was credited with generating a fifth of all retail sales in the United States. Not a fifth of online AI experiments. A fifth of total retail. That number alone should stop you for a second. So let's actually live it. Picture a Tuesday, 3 years from now. You wake up. You don't check email. Your agent already triaged it overnight, archived the noise, and flagged 2 things that need your judgment. You mention, half asleep, that you're low on groceries and craving something Thai tonight. By the time you're out of the shower, the ingredients are already ordered from whichever store had the best price and fastest delivery window. You never saw a homepage, never compared prices yourself. At work, you need a competitor analysis. Instead of opening 15 browser tabs, you describe what you need, and an agent goes and gets it, reading company filings, pulling recent news, building the comparison table while you make coffee. That evening, your kid needs new soccer cleats. You say a size, a budget, and a delivery date. Done. Here's the unsettling part. In this future, the phrase, "let me Google that," barely makes sense anymore. You didn't search. You didn't browse. You delegated. And an entire day just passed where you interacted with the internet constantly, and never once visited a website on purpose. This isn't one company's bet. It's basically every major tech company's bet, simultaneously, which is usually a strong signal something real is happening. OpenAI built the agentic commerce protocol with Stripe, and it now powers shopping inside ChatGPT for retailers including Etsy, Instacart, and DoorDash. Google built the Universal Commerce Protocol and folded its agent research directly into Search and Gemini. Microsoft launched Copilot Checkout, live in the US, with Shopify, PayPal, and Stripe already connected. Amazon has its own shopping assistant threading through its entire storefront. Anthropic's agent lives inside your existing Chrome browser instead of replacing it. Perplexity built Comet, a browser meant to research and act, not just search. Analysts at McKinsey estimate agent-driven commerce alone could redirect somewhere between $3 and $5 trillion of global retail spending by 2030. That's not a typo. Trillion, with a T. Now, worth being honest here, not every experiment survives. OpenAI actually killed its own in-chat checkout feature earlier this year after users kept researching products inside ChatGPT but not finishing the purchase there, partly because nobody had solved how to collect state sales tax inside a chat window. That's a real unglamorous problem, and it's a good reminder. The revolution is happening, but it's messier and slower than the press releases suggest. So if agents are doing the browsing, the comparing, and the buying, what's left for the website itself? The honest answer: it becomes plumbing. Not a destination. A data source. We're already seeing the early damage. Data shared with Axios this year showed that referral traffic from Google Search to smaller publishers has fallen by 60% over 2 years. Medium-sized sites dropped 47%. Even the biggest publishers on Earth lost 22%. Meanwhile, traffic from AI chatbots, the thing that's supposedly replacing all that, still accounts for less than 1% of total publisher page views. Read that again. Traffic is disappearing, and almost nothing measurable is replacing it yet. That gap, between the old system dying and the new one being ready, is exactly where the pain is happening right now, in 2026, to real writers, real small businesses, real independent sites that spent a decade building an audience through search. For shopping specifically, though, the picture is less bleak and more transformative. Retailers who've plugged into these agent protocols are reportedly seeing conversion rates from AI-referred shoppers run 40% higher than traditional traffic, because by the time an agent brings you a recommendation, the ambiguity has already been resolved. You're not browsing anymore. You're approving. The store isn't gone. It's just been turned inside out. Instead of a homepage designed to seduce a human, it becomes a structured, machine-readable catalog designed to answer a very specific, very literal question. Does this product meet these exact constraints, yes or no? Design, branding, beautiful photography, all of that still matters for humans. But for the agent doing the actual comparison shopping, none of it registers. It just wants clean data. Now here's where it gets existential for an entire industry. Online advertising, the thing that funds almost the entire free internet, was built on the assumption that a human eyeball would see a banner, get curious, and click. An agent doesn't get curious. An agent doesn't feel FOMO. It doesn't notice a flashy discount badge, because it's not looking at pixels, it's reading structured data and executing logic. You genuinely cannot show a persuasive ad to a piece of software the way you show one to a bored teenager scrolling before bed. That means the multi-hundred-billion-dollar ad industry now has to invent an entirely new discipline. Instead of persuading people, you have to get selected by algorithms. And the early winners in that game aren't the companies with the flashiest ads, they're the ones with the cleanest product data. Which brings us to SEO, search engine optimization, an entire profession built around one sentence: rank higher on Google, get more clicks. That sentence is losing its meaning. Studies this year found that even ranking in the #1 spot on Google now only gives you roughly a 17 to 54% chance of actually being cited inside an AI-generated answer. Being first used to guarantee visibility. Now it barely guarantees a mention. A new discipline is emerging to replace it. Some call it answer engine optimization or generative engine optimization. The goal isn't to rank for a human scrolling. It's to be the exact fact an AI system chooses to quote when it answers someone else's question. It's a completely different game, played by completely different rules, and most businesses on Earth haven't even realized the rules changed yet. For creators, this cuts two ways, and I want to be fair to both sides of it. The threat is obvious. If an AI agent can summarize your video, your article, your recipe, and hand the answer directly to the user, why would anyone ever visit your channel or your site again? Some publishers have reported traffic drops of over 50% in just a couple of years. But here's the twist nobody's talking about enough. Platforms that offer something an AI can't fully replicate: genuine personality, trust, a face people recognize, a voice people enjoy spending time with, are becoming more valuable, not less. Because the moment raw information becomes free and instant everywhere, the only scarce thing left is a human you actually want to listen to. That's arguably one of the reasons you're still watching this video right now instead of asking an AI to summarize it in one sentence. Let's zoom out to the job market, because this affects more than marketers and writers. Roles built around repetitive digital navigation, comparison shopping for procurement teams, manual price monitoring, basic customer service ticket routing, data entry across web forms, are the most exposed. These are tasks agents are already measurably good at. But new roles are emerging just as fast. People who design how businesses present themselves to agents, people who audit whether an AI is representing a brand accurately, people who build and maintain the protocols connecting merchants to a dozen different AI platforms at once. It's the same pattern every major technology shift follows. Jobs don't just vanish, they relocate, usually toward the layer just above where the automation lives. Now, the part that should genuinely give you pause. To do any of this, shop for you, book for you, negotiate for you, an agent needs access to an enormous amount of your personal life. Your payment information. Your location. Your preferences, your habits, your calendar, sometimes your inbox. You're not handing a company your browsing history anymore. You're handing an AI system standing permission to act using your identity and your money, continuously, in the background, often without you reviewing every single decision. That's a fundamentally different level of trust than clicking Accept Cookies. And trust, it turns out, is exactly where attackers are aiming next. Financial institutions surveyed this year reported that 78% expect fraud to spike specifically because of AI shopping agents. Malicious actors can build fake agents that mimic real ones. Bad actors can hide invisible instructions inside ordinary-looking web pages, designed to trick a legitimate AI agent into leaking your data or taking an action you never approved, a technique researchers call prompt injection, and OpenAI itself has publicly called it one of the biggest unsolved risks facing browser agents today. The web wasn't built with obedient software assistants in mind. It was built for cautious, skeptical humans. Teaching a tireless, literal-minded AI to navigate that same landscape safely, at scale, for hundreds of millions of people, that problem is nowhere near solved yet. So pull back and look at the full shape of what's happening. Search used to be the front door to the internet. Increasingly, the AI agent is becoming the front door instead, and search, websites, even apps, are quietly sliding into the background, becoming the plumbing that agent runs on top of, invisible to you. That's not a small redesign. That's a change in what the internet fundamentally is. For 30 years, the internet was a place you went. It's becoming a layer that acts for you, and you may never actually see most of it happen. Here's the idea I want to leave you with. We keep asking whether websites will survive. But maybe that's the wrong question. Maybe the better question is this: will future generations even understand what browsing meant? Think about how strange it would sound to a 5-year-old today if you described dial-up internet, or looking things up in a physical encyclopedia. That's not a tragedy, it's just what happens when one interface fully replaces another. The people who grow up in an agent-first internet may never open 10 browser tabs to compare flight prices. They may never scroll past an ad to find a recipe. Not because the web disappeared, but because they'll never need to touch it directly at all. We spent 30 years teaching humans how to search the internet. We may be about to spend the next 10 teaching the internet how to act for us instead. So here's my honest question for you. If an AI agent could handle your shopping, your research, and your bookings perfectly, invisibly, starting tomorrow, would you actually want that? Or is there something about browsing, deciding, and clicking for yourself that you're not ready to give up? Tell me where you land in the comments. I read every one of them, and this is exactly the kind of conversation I want to keep having with you.